bodybuilding.com kitchen today to show you how I make my Frosted Coconut Protein Cupcakes. I've been craving coconuts like crazy lately. I love anything coconut, and what better than a coconut cupcake? So I'm going to show you right now. I've got all the ingredients laid out. You're going to need 1.5 cups of oat flour. You can use just regular oats and grind them up, or you can buy that already pre-ground. We're going to also need 2 scoops of a vanilla whey protein, any brand that you like. And then we'll also need some baking soda, some salt, some eggs, coconut extract, some plain Greek yogurt, applesauce, some xylitol brown sugar, and some coconut milk. And that's it. So let's get started. In a large bowl, you're going to start off with 1.5 cups of oat flour. You can grind your own. You can just use it right out of the bag. And then we are going to add to that 2 scoops of a vanilla whey protein. Choose whichever flavor or brand that you like. And then to that, I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of baking soda. If I can get it out. There we go. And then also 1/2 teaspoon of salt. See, and some people are watching their salt. You could probably leave it out, but salt really does do a lot to enhance flavor. And that's it for the dry ingredients. So we're going to whisk that together and set it aside. Make sure you really incorporate the baking soda really well. Sometimes I'll hear people say that something didn't quite rise the right way, or it was kind of lopsided. A lot of times it's because they had like little tiny chunks still in there. They're leavening agents like baking soda and baking powder. So I think that's good. I'm going to set that to the side and trade out for this smaller bowl. And in the smaller bowl, I'm going to add 1 whole cup of the xylitol brown sugar. I like using xylitol brown sugar, but you can use a regular, like if you like stevia, another sweetener. I do like the molasses flavor that comes out of this. I know molasses and coconut sound kind of weird, but trust me, it really gives it a unique flavor. It tastes really good. The xylitol is natural. It actually comes from plants, and it's sugar alcohol instead of an actual sugar, so it really doesn't spike your blood sugar quite as much, and it will still. So just know that this isn't maybe an everyday food. It's just a much better for you version of a coconut cupcake. So we're going to dump that in. Into that, I'm going to add 2 egg whites. Just going to break those up. A lot of times I'll do these in a separate bowl to make sure I don't have a bad egg or something, and make sure that I don't get any shells in it. But you know, I've broken a few eggs at this point. I think I eat eggs sometimes 10 times a day. But all right, rinse my fingers off. And to that, I'm going to add some Greek yogurt, and we're going to do about 4 ounces of Greek yogurt. And so if you, it's got a little bit of that yummy liquid on top there. I'm going to mix that up a little. So you want to look for a Greek yogurt that actually has the lowest amount of sugar. They're really high protein. So for 4 ounces, you can use a measuring cup, or 4 ounces is the same as 1/2 cup. So I'm just going to go ahead and measure it into my 1/2 cup. So we're good there. And then the same for my unsweetened applesauce. I also need 4 ounces of that. So I'm going to pour that into my 1/2 cup as well. Make sure you do the unsweetened version, because it would be overly sweet for sure if you did the regular, and a little bit too much sugar. So we've got that added. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of an imitation coconut flavor. Now, I think this really kicks it up. Some people are afraid of like the extracts and stuff. But it's very little added to a lot. This one says it's got glycol, water, and artificial coconut flavor. Don't know what that is, don't know what it means. I just know there's a tiny bit going in here. So if you're not wanting to use it, I can say that just using, we have just enough for a tablespoon. If you just use the coconut milk, which is our next ingredient, we're doing an unsweetened coconut milk. It really does have a lot of coconut flavor. So if you don't want to use any of the coconut extract, that's okay. You can leave that out. I use extracts all the time, and so I'm going to add the coconut milk on top of that because I like it extra coconut flavor. And then mix this all together. It smells so good. I love coconut. Just so you guys know, like coconut, gosh, it's super healthy for you. It's one of my favorite things. I actually prefer to cook with coconut oil over any other kind of oil. I really only use probably 2 types. I use extra virgin olive oil and coconut oil. And extra virgin olive oil doesn't really heat well to a high temperature, but coconut oil will, and it's awesome because you can make stir fries with it. You can put it in place of butter in any recipe for the most part. It doesn't stand up like butter will, like when it's really, really cold and you have to cut in ingredients, like if you're making something flaky. It doesn't quite do as well, but it actually will substitute okay. You just can't expect it to be as maybe a little bit of a flaky texture. But I'm gonna add this to the dry ingredients. Another thing to know about coconuts, especially coconut oil, is that it's got what's called lauric acid in it. And lauric acid is an antiviral, antibacterial. I mean, it's super, super good for you. And also with coconut oil, a lot of people have stayed away from it because of the saturated fat. But it's important to know, like they've done all these studies. People in Polynesia, they probably about 60% of their diet is all coconuts, and they don't have heart disease, and there's not a lot of overweight people either. So people have been studying that, trying to figure out why is it that none of them had heart issues, and their heart attacks are not prevalent where they live. And they've come to find out that it's the medium chain fatty acids that are in coconut as opposed to a regular saturated fat that has long chain. Long chain take a really long time to actually break down in the body, so your body's more inclined to store it as fat. But medium chain, your body breaks down easily. So really, it's just quick energy, and you're actually getting the benefits of the coconut oil, which I could list, there's tons. And it's just gonna act like a carbohydrate without the sugar spike. So it's actually really, really a good option. It'll actually help you lose weight. It helps keep you full, satisfied. It's really good stuff. So now that we're done, we've got all our ingredients mixed up. I'm gonna go ahead and start putting them in my muffin tin. Okay, now we're gonna do the icing for our coconut cupcakes. So we're starting off with 2 cups of a xylitol confectioner sugar. Now, if you prefer, you can use regular sugar. This is the bag that I found. Again, this is not something you wanna eat every day. This is a special treat, but it's xylitol, malted dextrin, cornstarch, and it does have a little bit of sucralose. So just so you know that. So this is the occasional birthday surprise, I guess. So we started off with that, and next we're gonna add our cream cheese. So I've cut this little 8-ounce block of cream cheese in half because we need about 4 ounces. Put that in. Make sure that your cream cheese is at room temperature because that's gonna help us mix it up and make it a lot easier. And then to that, we're gonna actually add our coconut oil. Here it is. So now, coconut oil comes solid, so you might actually want to heat it up a little bit just to kind of soften it. But if you've never used it before, once it hits your skin and the warmth just from your body, it actually liquefies like really, really quickly. So I'm gonna go ahead and take out as much as we need. I'm gonna do 1/4 of a cup. This is actually the substitution of butter, and this is kind of what makes, besides the xylitol sugar, what makes this a little bit more decadent. It's important that you keep, once you use this, that you keep the icing and your cupcakes in particular cool, because once you ice your cupcakes, it'll start to kind of soften and maybe slide off a little bit. So I'm gonna go ahead and add that in. Now again, coconut oil is so good for you though, so I think it's actually worth it because you're not going to eat just a whole bunch of these, or you shouldn't eat a whole bunch of these. So we'll go ahead and put that in. I'm going to do it without heating it. I don't think it needs it. Feels pretty soft. All right, it sounds like we've got a few more minutes. It's just letting me know. I'm going to use this. I think it's easier. And just start mixing this up. My cream cheese could actually be a little bit softer, but I think I can handle it. And you can add extracts and flavors to this, but I think it's kind of overpowering on these cupcakes if you add the coconut extract or anything like that to it. I like the just regular vanilla flavor better. And then to that you can add our little coconut shreds, which is what we were gonna do for the top of it. So it's going slowly. You might feel like you need to add water, but don't do it, just keep going. I'm actually gonna switch to a fork. I think that might be easier. If you add water, you might end up with the icing that's kind of like for a morning, like a breakfast roll or something like that, like a cinnamon roll. All right, this is better. We want it nice and thick for the top of the cupcakes. Now it's starting to look how we want it to. And it starts to resemble, you know, real icing, just like you're used to having on normal cake. If you actually use a mixer, it'll actually get fluffier and even fuller. So if you want to do that, by all means do that. I don't do it too much because if you overmix it too, again, it'll kind of tend to slide off. But another trick is you can actually add what's called egg white powder to some of your icings, and that'll actually give it a little bit more hold and consistency as well. I like to do that on occasion when I'm not using things like my coconut oil or stuff like that. So it looks good. I'm gonna actually put it in the refrigerator so that it can stay cold until the rest of our muffins bake. So the timer went off and it's time to take our cupcakes out of the oven. They look nice and brown. I'm gonna set them out here to cool. We're probably gonna need to let these cool for at least maybe like 20 minutes. We don't want the frosting that we just made and we have in the refrigerator now to slide off the top. So we're gonna let those cool for about 20 minutes and then we'll come back and I'll show you how I ice them and top them off with some coconut. Okay, the cupcakes are all cool and I've taken the frosting that we made earlier out of the refrigerator. So I'm gonna start frosting these. See, you can apply as little or as much as you want. I don't know if you like a lot of icing or a little bit of icing. I like quite a bit, but you don't have to be super neat about it because we are going to dip these in some coconut to make them look finished off and pretty. So I'm just gonna dunk it in there and see how that comes out with the coconut on top, and place that one down, and then we'll grab another one. And that first one that I did looked like it had a little injury. I think a piece of it got stuck in the pan. But all right, and then dunk that one in. And you want to use the unsweetened coconut shreds because we don't want to add, you know, more sugar to this. So let's grab another. So you just want to make sure you frost them all. Now I usually would wait to frost these until right before I'm going to serve them because I find that if you leave them out in the room temperature a little too long, they melt a little bit too much. They won't melt completely, but it will melt a bit. So if you want them to look just like when you finish them, you want to make sure that you just do it right before. So I think we'll just do one more. And that's about it. You want to make sure that any of these treats that you're making, that you keep them refrigerated because they don't have preservatives and stuff in them. So you can't keep these on the counter or anything like that because they will mildew and we don't want that. So just make sure you keep them refrigerated. I think they make a really, really pretty presentation, nice for a birthday or just any time of day really. So thank you for watching. Please check out bodybuilding.com for more tips and more content like this.